Welcome back to another episode of the Next Level Minds podcast. My name is Chris Chapman, and I am your host. And if this is your first time tuning in, then this is a podcast dedicated to those who want to reach a next level in their faith, family, fitness, finances, or just embrace the American freedoms that we have in this great country. So the way in which we do this is by interviewing various successful people from all walks of life and really just chatting with these folks of how they've built their business, how they've built their career, and how they have overcome various adversities and setbacks and failures along the way. We also host Motivation Monday episodes where I talk about various personal development related topics. It could be habits, it could be routines, it could be finances, it could be physical health, mental health, really anything under that personal development umbrella. And with this podcast, we have a mission to impact over 1 million people. And it would be extremely helpful if you all could help me out with that. And I believe the best way to assist with this goal is by sharing this episode with a family member, friend, or colleague, leaving a review of Next Level Minds on Apple Podcasts, and then we're also growing the Next Level Minds newsletter. You can subscribe to that in the show notes below. Other than that, let's go ahead and dive into this week's episode, which is a Motivation Monday episode, really all about some advice that I recently gave to recent college graduates and a few other young professionals that are, a couple years into their career. Now, after giving this advice, I realized that it really could be for anybody, no matter what phase of life you're in. So if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I'm 40, I don't really need recent graduate advice, stay listening, because honestly, this advice could also apply to you. The reason that I say it was given towards some recent college graduates and young professionals is because I just happened to be meeting with a few of them and these topics got brought up. But looking back on it, I'd say they could apply to anybody. So, and a lot of these lessons that I'm about to share, by the way, have been through my life, coming up on 30 this year, right? And, I'm fortunate to have built a fairly successful life at a young age. Still have a long way to go to reach my, 10, 15, 20-year goals, but I am very fortunate through a tremendous amount of hard work and some of the things that I'm going to tell you today, actually all of the things that I'm going to tell you today, to have built a very successful life at a young age. Again, I still have a long way to go, but these items that I'm about to tell you have really helped shape me and get me to where I am today, which I am very proud of. Anyway, going into the first topic, I think it's extremely important to focus on building confidence, grit, discipline, perseverance, determination, and a strong self-belief system, because when you have those skills, they'll take you far in any segment of your life, in your career, in your business, in your relationships, in your finances. And as you're starting to progress through life, you're going to get punched in the face with multiple challenges. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to have adversities. But if you're equipped with the skills of confidence, discipline, grit, determination, a strong bulletproof belief system, you will have an exponentially easier time getting through these challenging situations because of the fact that you have the skill sets needed to get through them. So focus on building those things. And the best way to build those things, because I always say build those things, then people are like, okay, well, how do I actually build it? You build those things by just continuing to do things that you don't want to do over and over again. And as you're continuing to do things that you don't want to do over and over and over again, you ultimately will start to build upon these skill sets and the muscle of confidence, of perseverance, of determination. And this morning I woke up, for example, I did not want to get up when I did, but I ended up doing it anyway. And now I know that I've built the discipline muscle, the grit muscle, the determination muscle. And it's just these small little micro decisions that you happen to have in your mind every single day. And it's saying yes to the things that are going to build discipline and no to the things that are going to take the discipline and the confidence away. The second tip I have is to invest back into yourself often. I was told early on, and I've been really trying to follow this, but find ways to turn your salary into income streams, right? So let's say you're making 100 grand. All right. Well, how can you turn that $100,000 into, maybe saving 30% of that? So 30 grand. How can you turn that 30 grand into 50 grand? Or how could you turn that 30 grand into some sort of passive income that maybe pays you 10% of that per month? And now you have, $300 in passive income coming in. How can you turn your salary, your hard-earned money, into income streams and future income streams? So for me, I have a rental property. I also have dividend producing stocks. For example, for those of you who don't know, I recently just bought a new 4Runner. It's a 2023, but it had hardly any miles on it. And the car payment, because I could have paid for it in cash, but I didn't want to liquidate that much cash all at once because it's earning such a high return. Instead, I was like, okay, I'm going to, put some money down, but I'm going to get a car payment, which never had a car payment. And the monthly dividends that I receive from the stock market are paying my monthly car payment. And so literally every single month I get dividends in my bank account from the stock market, not having to do anything to get this money. It's just passive income coming in. Then I'm transferring that money out of my bank account that I got from a passive income to continue to pay off my car. So invest back into yourself, find ways to turn your salary into income streams, whether now or in the future. Third thing, keep your mental and physical health a top priority, right? Your body and mind are tools that you have in your life. Sharpen those tools, make those tools work for you. And I can tell you with full confidence that as I started investing back into my health from a mental and physical standpoint, I became more and more and more successful, right? I tripled my income in a few years from 2018, 2019 timeframe to 21, 22, 23 timeframe, tripled my income. And one of the reasons that happened was because I just started investing so much back into my routine, to my mental health, to my physical health, that I just became extremely sharp. And ultimately having, my body and my mind firing at all cylinders, I was able to produce much more success. Fourth thing is have a strong vision and purpose for what you're doing in life. One of my big, reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing is because I want to set the example for those around me as to what it means to just live a life of the right habits, routines, behaviors, discipline. And I also just want to show others what's possible. I didn't really come from much. And like I said, I still have a long way to go, but I want to look back on my life when I'm 50 years old and people be like, wow, how did you get this house, this car, and this? How did you build this, generational wealth, right? And it's like, well, here's what I did. Here's the example that I set, right? So that's one of the reasons why I want to become extremely successful, just to show others that, hey, it's possible with the right habits, the right routines, the right behaviors, taking the right action, the right mindset. So find your vision and your purpose for what you're doing, because on the tough days where you don't feel like getting up in the morning or you're just not feeling it, those things are going to drive you. Next thing is be consistent in the right actions that are going to move you forward, right? You can be consistent in the wrong actions or you can be consistent in the right actions, right? Follow the right actions. And if you want to know what the right actions are, find somebody who's built the life that you want. Ask them, hey, what are the right actions? Follow those actions. Keep going on those actions, even when you don't feel like it. Next is surround yourself with people who are winning in life, right? You are the average of the people you surround yourself with. The Bible says, walk with the wise and you will become wise. Walk with fools and you'll become fools, right? So walk with the wise and you will become wise. Find other people who have goals, who have routines, who are winning in life. And ultimately, you will be that person who's also winning in life. Next tip here is become a master at whatever your profession is, right? Natural order always wins. The hardest worker will always win. So whatever your profession is, whether it's sales, whether it's marketing, whether it's graphic design, whether it's engineering, become the absolute best at that, become undeniably great, as they say, and ultimately you will win because you are the hardest worker. You've mastered your craft, right? Next is don't be afraid to bet on yourself by taking a calculated risk. Sometimes you have to go, 1 or 2 steps back to ultimately go 3 or 4 steps forward down the future, right? So that may be you leaving a job right now that maybe paying you a decent salary, and maybe that's taking a job that's a little bit more commission focused or bonus structure focused, where you may have a lower pay year, but then in 2 or 3 years you're making exponentially more than you were, right? So little things like that. Think about what are some calculated risks that I can take right now to ultimately provide what I want in my long-term goals. Next thing I have is invest back into your relationships, right? God, family, close friends. Those are kind of my core things, right? Like it all starts with God, right? And then it trickles down to family, and then it trickles down to close friends. So invest back into your relationships. Now, that can mean a couple different things, right? Like for me, that could mean, reading the Bible in the morning and saying a quick prayer. And then for family, that could mean calling them on Sundays, which I tend to do, and, hanging out with my wife and going on dates, right? And close friends, that could mean, getting a beer on a Saturday afternoon, right? Like just invest back into those relationships, mainly with time. And the last thing I want to share is give back, right? Win in your own life. That should be a extremely, emphasized focus, but at the same time, like give back your time, give back your money, give back your energy, give back your effort. For those who are, starting to become more successful in life, right? Give back to people who were in your shoes, 5, 6, 7 years ago. I just talked to this guy who's graduating Clemson soon. He messaged me on LinkedIn. He's like, hey, it looks like you've built, some pretty successful things in your life. Like, I'd love to just pick your brain. I was like, sure. And we talked for like 30 minutes. And he was so appreciative that I talked to him and the things that we talked about, and just kept saying, hey, thank you so much for your time. And I'm like, listen, man, I was literally in your shoes, like, 2018, like 7, 8 years ago. About 7, 8 years ago. And I was in the same position, reaching out to people who were in their late 20s, early 30s, who were successful, and saying like, hey, how did you get to where you are? What would you suggest? Right. And same thing from my lens. Like, I'm talking to people that are 10 years ahead of me, asking them very similar questions to what this guy's asking. Right. So for those listening and you've built some sort of success, whether it's success in your career, your business, your finances, and you're starting to kind of get ahead, give back to others, right? Give back with your time, give back with your energy, give back with your efforts, and give back financially as well. That's all I wanted to share. Like I said, had a great conversation with a couple recent graduates and thought, you know what? This advice could really apply to anybody. So I want to throw it out there to the Next Level Minds listeners. If any of this stuck out to you, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at ChrisChapChap. I'll usually try to respond anywhere from 48 to 72 hours, depending on how many DMs I'm getting. Feel free to subscribe to the Next Level Minds newsletter. We release content on a monthly basis, talking about a lot of these topics that we just talked about today. And lastly, if you got value out of this show, share it with a family member, friend, or colleague. And other than that, I hope everyone has a fantastic week ahead and builds the success that they want.